Has the Biden trap trapped Netanyahu? That's the question we are asking tonight. Is Netanyahu trapped in Biden's trap? Well, looks like he is. And let me tell you what's happened over the weekend. A lot. US President Joe Biden laid out a ceasefire plan for Gaza. The plan is threefold, essentially. Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet has warned him against accepting the plan. But Biden says it's high time. It's time for this war to end. These are Biden's words. So the question really is, what will Netanyahu do? Will he take the plan and lose his cabinet, or will he shun the plan and lose whatever little support he now enjoys of the Americans and the Europeans? That, you see, is the Biden trap. And the question is, can Netanyahu get out of it? Two of his far-right ministers have threatened to resign and bring down Netanyahu's government if he accepts the peace plan. The first phase of this plan proposes a 6-week ceasefire. During these 6 weeks, Israel's army would have to withdraw from the populated areas of Gaza. Hamas would have to release Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Gazans would be allowed to return to their neighborhoods. Trucks carrying humanitarian aid would be allowed into the enclave on a daily basis. And then comes the second phase. During this phase, Hamas and Israel would negotiate terms for a permanent end to the hostilities. The ceasefire would continue as long as the negotiations continue. The third phase would start with a permanent ceasefire. Gaza would be reconstructed. 60% of its clinics, schools, universities, mosques would be reconstructed. So this is Biden's peace plan, one that he claims the Israelis came up with. But Israel's finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, says that he rejects immediate ceasefire. In a statement, Smotrich said that he told Netanyahu he would not, quote-unquote, be part of a government that will agree to the proposed outline and end the war without destroying Hamas and returning all the hostages. In other words, Smotrich wants the war to continue till Hamas is destroyed. And the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, could not agree more. Ben-Gvir, in fact, thinks the deal is reckless. He also called it, quote-unquote, a victory of terrorism. Let me just read out for you what else Ben-Gvir has said. I'm quoting, if the Prime Minister implements the reckless deal under the conditions published today, which mean the end of the war and the giving up on the elimination of Hamas, Otzma Yehudit will dissolve the government. Otzma Yehudit is the party that Ben-Gvir leads. It's a part of Netanyahu's coalition. But Ben-Gvir is not just any alliance partner here. Together, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir's ultra-nationalist and far-right parties hold 14 seats. Netanyahu is over-reliant on their support. And without these leaders, Bibi's government falls. So what will he do? Listen to the far-right leaders and not take the deal? Netanyahu's war cabinet does not seem to agree. In the war cabinet, by the way, are Netanyahu, his principal opponent, Benny Gantz, and Israel's defense minister. Gantz believes the war cabinet should move forward with the peace proposal. And think about the next steps. Gantz had, in fact, threatened to leave the cabinet by the 8th of June if the Netanyahu government failed to agree on a plan for Gaza. And by the way, he's not the only one showing his support for the peace plan that Biden claims Israelis have come up with. Israel's opposition leader, Yair Lapid, is promising support. And then you have the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, endorsing the plan, as are Israel's Western allies. So we are back to the question, what will Netanyahu do? Is he trapped? There are protests within Israel. The families of the hostages have had enough. Their loved ones were taken away to Gaza on the 7th of October 2023. It is the 3rd of June 2024. And there is no word on when the hostages will be back. The only thing that's clear is that Netanyahu has failed to hashtag bring them back. This deal that Biden is proposing promises to bring back the hostages. Will Netanyahu choose hostages or power? At home, he is steadily losing support since October 7, by the way. The attack exposed his government's unpreparedness. The days that followed exposed Netanyahu's failure to appropriately respond to the unprecedented crisis. And now, 8 months on, Netanyahu has failed to do what he had set out to do, which is to eliminate Hamas. But in the process, over 36,000 have died in Gaza. Hostages, too, have not all come back home. There is anger not just within Israel, but also outside. You saw what happened in US campuses. Let me now tell you what's happening in the Maldives. The country says it will be denying entry to people with Israeli passports. While Mali has not given any details on that ban yet, Israel's foreign ministry has been quick to respond. It has asked Israelis holidaying in the Maldives to leave immediately. The foreign ministry said, and I'm quoting here, for Israeli citizens staying in the country, it is recommended to consider leaving, since if they fall into distress for any reason, it will be difficult for us to help. Earlier today, the Israeli embassy in India also put out this post. It reads, since the Maldives is no longer welcoming Israelis, here are some beautiful and amazing Indian beaches where Israeli tourists are warmly welcomed and treated with utmost hospitality. The tweet had pictures of Lakshadweep, Goa, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, even Kerala. But that's besides the point. It's the growing global anger against Israel that we are focusing on tonight. Netanyahu, you see, stands to add fuel to it by rejecting the peace plan. But accepting the plan could be dangerous for his political survival. A new poll suggests that if an election were to be held today, Benny Gantz, not Netanyahu, could become the prime minister. Should this election happen, Netanyahu's alliance could win just 51 seats in the parliament, while Gantz's National Unity Party and the opposition parties could together win as many as 69 seats. This poll was run by Israel's public broadcaster. Netanyahu knows his days as prime minister are numbered. He also knows that if he proceeds with the plan, his government falls. But Yair Lapid has now said his party will back Netanyahu if the far rights back out. So will that nudge Bibi to accept the plan? Hamas says it views the proposal positively, and all eyes are now on Netanyahu. What will he choose? Peace or isolation? Will Netanyahu choose hostage return or power? Biden's trap has been laid. Will Netanyahu give peace a chance, or will he pick politics? To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.